Experiential design is the art of developing brand and storytelling in a physical environment and beyond. And in the traditional sense of an office environment, you might think of ergonomics, productivity. We really concentrate on the engagement with a story and experience in a space.
Welcome to the Path to Owning It podcast by Provide, hosted by me, Corey Brown, a marketing leader at Provide with over a decade in supporting small businesses. Whether you are an aspiring or established founder, here you'll find tools and advice to start building your legacy and take your business to new heights. To help you achieve your entrepreneurial ambitions, each month we'll tap into our unparalleled network of industry experts who will join us on our quest to provide the answers to your most pressing questions. Like what you hear? Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you listen. I'm excited to welcome Alicia Orlando to today's episode. As Director of Experiential Design at MA Design, Alicia brings 15 years of design experience, using graphics and immersive multi-sensory experiences to visually tell compelling stories. With a background spanning advertising, marketing, and environmental graphics, she has worked with clients like Bed Bath & Beyond, the University of Georgia, and White Castle. Over the years, Alicia has witnessed firsthand how powerful visuals can influence decisions and spark meaningful interactions with both spaces and brands. She focuses on creating designs that resonate on a human level by crafting thoughtful, purposeful environments that inspire and leave lasting emotional connections. Alicia, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. Design, as I mentioned to you previous, is in my background. So I'm just very personally excited to hear your thoughts on what we're going to talk about today, though. So for those who may not know, can you explain what experiential design is and how it differs from traditional office design?
Yes. Experiential design is the art of developing brand and storytelling in a physical environment and beyond, because we are often tasked with creating multi-sensory experiences as well. And so really we're thinking through all of the touch points that someone might engage with a brand. And in the traditional sense of an office environment, you might think of ergonomics, productivity, and designing in that way. And working directly with interior designers here at MA Design, I know that brand is very much a part of what they do as well. But where XD differs from that is we really concentrate on the emotional connection and the engagement with a story and experience in a space. So we're all about the message and getting down to the why to create a visual communication of that.
I love that. Can you talk a little bit more about some of those key elements of XD design that contribute to creating that welcoming environment within an office?
Yeah. And I often think of this as you might a home. What do you want someone to leave with knowing? What do you want to put out on the table, if you will? And often it's, what is it that you do every day? And what makes your business or your environment different from others that people are walking into? We really want to focus on connecting with the person that's coming into the space. And so fortunately, through experiential design, you have the opportunity to craft that message. It's up to you what that message wants to be. And we help encourage that and bring it out visually and work with you to uncover that. But connecting with them on that culture immediately upon entering is one of the ways to build a welcoming environment.
Yeah. And where does your team start in the process? I mean, are we talking about defining who one's customer truly is and then kind of going from there? Can you kind of talk to me about where you fit in the process of office design?
Yes. We have a pretty extensive upfront process because a lot of what we are doing at the very beginning is listening to understand what the goals are for the space. Getting into the differentiators and what sets that office space apart, we do a deep dive.
Yeah.
And often that's with leadership, stakeholders, their marketing teams, sometimes the end user as well, just to understand what the current experience is or what the experience wants to be.
Yeah.
But we do a pretty extensive deep dive before we put any pen to paper to understand what the goals are for the project.
Yeah. Can you talk to me what that deep dive kind of looks like or what's involved with that?
Yes. If there is a space already available and we're talking about an existing space, we will look at the floor plan, understand the path of travel that somebody might have in the space, because the message in the space is going to differ from maybe an exam room from an office space. So
Sure.
establishing what that message wants to be in any given space is really important. So we walk through that path of travel. We look at inspirational imageries to understand what makes the most sense and what we can achieve with the timelines, any challenges or opportunities of the project. We want to bring those to light as soon as possible. And then we also do a deep dive about their brand. So tell us everything. Tell us from the very beginning what differentiates you from everybody else. And that is uncovered in multiple ways. And it spans quite the spectrum depending on how big the company is. But a lot of times we're talking about, this is really important to me. We created our logo and our mission this way because these are the things that we want to follow through in our environment. So uncovering that, we come back to them then with suggestions.
And, you had mentioned that kind of first impression previously, and it's important for a reason, right? So how can small business owners utilize experiential design to really create a strong first impression on customers?
Yeah, I will stand by tailoring the environment to speak to the person that is using it. And so that is something that's really important, and making the person feel recognized and valued upon walking into the space. They feel invited and welcomed. So really making sure that the person coming in, understanding the reason why they're there, and making sure that that message is clear and easy for them to understand and take away.
Yeah. And in your experience, why is the atmosphere of an office space crucial for also employee morale and productivity, especially for small businesses?
So I feel like we all probably know that businesses thrive when everybody's on the same train, going the same direction. And so investing in the atmosphere that the people are in to encourage that movement, the mission, the vision, what the company stands for as a daily reminder, whether it's soft or loud, whatever it means to the company, making sure that that's present in the space ultimately benefits the company as a whole, but the individual employees that see it every single day.
Yeah.
And especially for small businesses where every employee's contribution has an incredible impact. And so even fostering environments where that impact is recognized is really awesome as a daily reminder that you are valued. I see everything that you're doing today. I also want to call out the recruitment side as well, as you are bringing people through your office as potential employees or even partners. What are they seeing? Does your space reflect what you're selling? What are you selling them? Why would you want to work here? If they walk around and see that the space is humming, just as you said it was in the fashion that it is, it's more likely to tip the scales. There's a lot of trust that comes with that as well.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of how experiential design can foster that sense of community engagement amongst employees in an office setting?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of the collaboration areas, making sure that spaces like that exist, providing that opportunity to give people a choice of working in that fashion, but also encouraging it and thinking through ways that some of the experiential design can work in two ways. It can be this giant wall graphic that has a specific message, or maybe it's a little bit smaller, but either way, it has a specific message. But what are ways that then the employees can use it for those collaborative opportunities? We have a project that we had worked on where we had created a similar effect where some of the panels are magnetic, and you wouldn't know that they are magnetic, but some of the photos you can peel off. If you knew that it was magnetic, you could peel it off, but it provides an opportunity for the ownership to continue a relationship with their employees as well, updating some of that content, or maybe the employees update that content themselves, but it really helps with the collaboration aspect. And even getting on a department or a business unit level, we have had so much fun directly working with those teams to create visual communication or visuals in their work environments. What are the tools that they're using that's different than across the overall business? And it's fun getting the inside jokes and funny stories up on the walls and encouraging, the camaraderie and collaboration.
Oh, I love that idea. That's really a lot of valuable insight on how experiential design can engage new customers and foster that sense of community amongst employees. It's really clear to me that creating that welcoming environment goes well beyond just aesthetics, right? It's about cultivating a culture where everyone really feels valued and a business's mission and vision are tangible. For our listeners who are eager to hear and learn more about practical and budget-friendly strategies to enhance their office spaces, answers to this and more with Alicia right after this. Are you fresh out of school with big dreams and ambition to achieve them? Or is your current business bursting at the seams and it's time to expand your legacy? If you tend to challenge the status quo and shoot for the moon, Provide's SBA loan may be for you. Our dedicated team of small business experts will work with you to make your ownership dreams, no matter how big, a reality. To get started, visit getprovide.com to see how our tech-enabled small business financing and banking can work for you. Again, that's getprovide.com for when your aspirations of business ownership exceed traditional limits. I'm Corey Brown, and this is Provide's The Path to Owning It podcast. We're back with Alicia Orlando, Director of Experiential Design at MA Design, to talk more about how to create a welcoming office environment for your customers and your employees. Alicia, I'm curious, for small business owners on a budget, and that's probably the majority of them, let's be honest. Can you share some cost-effective strategies they can implement to enhance their office's welcoming energy?
Yes. And I appreciate this question more than you know, because I prefer to have this conversation right out of the gate. It also helps with efficiencies throughout the course of the project overall and just making sure that we're staying course, because we can design pretty things all the time. But if it's out of budget or it's not meeting the goal, then, what's the point? And so thinking through this, there are so many ways that we've done this in the past. And it starts with using our experience and the cost of fabrication and installation and using that as leverage to inform some of our design decisions up front to maintain that overall budget goal. We've approached it in ways too where we encourage a phase approach. And so we recently have been working on master plans for projects. And essentially what that means is we're laying out the entire project and how it might live over the course of 2 years and when everything is completely finished. But it provides an opportunity for there to be a phase. And even thinking through some of the other challenges like temporary leases or leases coming up sooner than maybe they thought.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. Really getting creative about ways to develop graphics that can be taken down really easily or moved to a new space. Some of that takes a lot of understanding at the very beginning as well, but talking about all of the challenges and opportunities up front really help set the tone for the entire lifetime of the project. And ultimately, hopefully that means we hit the goal.
Yeah, for sure. And what kind of timeline do you typically work on for projects within small business specifically? Would love for our listeners to kind of understand how long this process takes.
Yeah. So if we're thinking through 1 or 2 spaces of a space that's already built, so not ground up, but a space that's already built, we're talking probably 4 to 6 months from start to finish. There's a few months up front for the design, the back and forth, and all of the collaboration that takes place between both teams, because your brand best. We're here to help visually communicate that in the space. And so we have a lot of that communication back and forth in that time. And then there's the time for samples, the fun part where we start to see it come to life too, where there's the samples and the time it takes to fabricate and install and make sure everything is ready and set up from an interior design perspective to bring it to life in the space.
Yeah. And I'm sure that you have so many examples, but can you share a success story of a particular experiential design transformation that significantly benefited a small business?
Yeah. So recently we had the awesome opportunity to work with a local coffee shop, actually in Groveport, Ohio.
Okay.
And it was really important to the owner to recognize the community support throughout decades, because their family had a lineage of businesses in this one location. And we were onboarded to develop the name of the coffee shop, the brand, the guidelines for their marketing, and also create the interior experience with the brand. Our interior design team also renovated the entire building. And through all of that communication, we know and knew it was so important that the community connection was there.
Yeah.
And recently he sent us an email with a screenshot of a Yelp review with somebody explaining that they felt that. And so he messaged us saying, mission accomplished. And that was the ultimate compliment. And the collaboration on that project to get there was incredible. So it was really rewarding to hear that.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. I mean, and it's coming straight from someone within the community. I mean, there's no better compliment than that, I'm sure.
Yes.
It's amazing. Let's talk a little bit more about employees and their experience within the space. How can experiential design concepts be tailored to ensure inclusivity and comfort for such a diverse workforce?
Yeah, I think the first step that I believe is most important is asking the people what would make you more comfortable, or how can this environment be more inclusive to you? There are assumptions that we can make, and obviously it's coming up because it's a concern or there's something that we want to overcome. But I think getting to the bottom line to then support and use as a jumping point to strategically develop the graphics. We're creative problem solvers in a lot of ways, and so we want to make sure that what we're heard is recognized and then developed into the environment. So I think asking the questions to better understand. But we are also looking at, wayfinding on larger projects. We're working on an industrial project right now where we have multiple languages on the wayfinding across the entire campus, making sure that everyone can get to where they're going really easily. And so I think ultimately, though, it's just really understanding what the individuals need who are using the experience.
And I'm curious if you could share some measurable impacts, right, that small business owners can look for after they implement something like what you're describing in their spaces. How would they go about that? What are those factors?
We talk about this quite often because one of the things that we say is let the walls do the talking for you. And recently we put out a blog, 3 signs your environmental graphics are working for you.
Yeah.
And one of the topics concentrates on your graphics spark conversations. So if you're starting to hear people talk about a specific message that you intentionally placed in the space, it's doing the work. If you hear people talking about specific things about your work outside of the office in a way that you curated, it's doing the job. And so those are some things to look for. How is somebody experiencing the space? Are they smiling? Or what are the opportunities there? And are you capturing it? And it's really rewarding whenever you see it come to life.
Yeah. And Yelp reviews, as we've heard as
and
well,
Yelp
right? Yeah, exactly. I'm curious what you think are some future trends in experiential design that small businesses should keep an eye on to stay competitive and appealing in a competitive market.
The tailored experiences, I think, are not going away because people are leaving their homes to work in an office environment or coming to an office for specific experiences, and they want it to resonate with them. And so making sure that we do that is really important. And so part of that too is the seamless brand experience from your website or an interactive component out of the office.
Yeah.
We want it to match what's in the office and making sure that people feel like it's recognizable and comfortable walking in and it's what they were sold. It's not a bait and switch. It's recognizable across all platforms. Going back to the tailored experiences too, thinking through the way Gen Z and Gen X might want to receive information is totally different. So what are ways that we can make sure that when they walk in, they feel like they can get the information that they need, the comfort, the content that they need in a way that works for them?
Yeah, that's so important. We just did an episode on Gen Z, similar conversation happening there. I'm curious, any final thoughts for our listeners as when they're thinking about either designing out their office for the first time or maybe it's time for a remodel? Where should they start? And just would be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think because sometimes it's usually somebody's first time doing this, especially small businesses, there is that sense of unknowing. And I think it can all be alleviated with a conversation and just setting the tone. Okay, this is what we have to work with. This is what we want to achieve. And then we are here to help get you there. That's our job. And so there is no project too small or too big, and any budget. There's a possibility and there are opportunities to bring something to life that will support your cause or your mission.
Yeah. So don't be scared to reach out and start that conversation is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Yes.
So for those listening that would like to connect with you and MA Design to learn more about creating a welcoming office environment, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Email or phone is the best way. You can call MA Design at any time. And my email is aliciao@designwithma.com.
Okay. Well, Alicia, thank you so much for opening our eyes to the world of experiential design. What you've shared with us today will no doubt help our listeners and their office environments. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us. The path to owning a business is a nuanced journey. We hope you discovered something in this episode that eases your path to success. If so, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Have a topic you'd like discussed in a future episode? Drop us a line in the comments section or send us a message on social media. If you're ready to take control of your future and start building your legacy, be sure to visit getprovide.com. You can view our resources page for more helpful tools, learn how our all-in-one financial and banking products can help you on your path to business ownership, and pre-qualify for financing in under 2 minutes with no impact on your credit score. The path to owning it is brought to you by the team at Provide, and it's produced by PodCamp Media, branded podcast production for businesses. PodCampMedia.com. Producer Dusty Weiss, editor Matt Covarrubias. For Provide, I'm Corey Brown. Thanks for being on the journey with us.
Provide is a division of Fifth Third Bank, National Association. All opinions expressed by the participants are solely their current opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Provide, its affiliates, or Fifth Third Bank. The participants' opinions are based on information they consider reliable, but neither Provide, its affiliates, nor Fifth Third Bank warrant its completeness or accuracy and should not be relied upon as such. This content is for informational purposes and does not constitute the rendering of legal, accounting, tax, or investment advice or other professional services by Provide or any of its affiliates. Please consult with appropriate professionals related to your individual circumstances. All lending is subject to review and approval.